Joseph Parker versus Carlos Takam. I'm Teekosey, and this is with just 15 defeats. Hi, I'm Teekosey and welcome to another round of With Just 15 Defeats. In today's show, we're going to be discussing the result of the Joseph Parker versus Carlos Takam fight that happened earlier today. So first of all, thanks for joining me on this video. I really hope you enjoy the content. Feel free to visit my channel, click subscribe, like this video and leave me any comments on the content, any comments on the fight, any comments on my prediction, etc. And also, if you want to compare this back to my prediction video, feel free to check that out on the channel. So we move forward to the fight of which was an IBF title eliminator. So in theory, the winner moves forward to possibly get a shot at the winner of Joshua Brazil later in the year, early next year, whenever. So what happened in this fight? The results are that Joseph Parker wins on points, unanimous decision. All three judges saw it in his favour. So usually what I like to do when I review a fight, I like to go round by round, particularly when it's gone a number of rounds. Then we can build up a picture of how the fight actually happened, the story of the fight. So I'm briefly going to run through the rounds with a small amount of commentary on each round, and then we'll discuss it at the end. So the first round, Takam seemed to surprise Parker by starting the fight on the back foot. Parker maintained that ring dominance throughout the entire round, but Takam was finding a home for nice big counter punches, predominantly due to the fact that Parker had his hands incredibly low. I don't think he was anticipating these punches, which is a bit of a surprise. So whilst he dominated the ring, the key punches were landed by Takam, and I give Takam that round. Round two, some great movement from Takam on the back foot. The pressure continuing to come from Parker. Not much happened early on, but it became a bit of a swing fest for a brief period of time. But again, the defensive vulnerabilities of Parker were exposed. When he made his attacks, he was open for the counter over the left. And yeah, we started to see these vulnerabilities, but on the balance of the round, we moved forward with Parker winning that round. The third round, this was particularly one way. Parker was pressurizing the double, the triple jab. Not much coming back. Clear round for Parker. Round 4. It started the same, but there was one exchange that stood out for me. Parker ended up being on the back foot. Takam pushed him forward, and he landed with 3 flush punches. And Parker didn't try to defend. He just tried to move away, and avoid those punches, but he didn't avoid them. And again, it's more. It was exposed more from a defensive perspective. And following this, Takam continued to try and pressurize on the front foot, but Parker landed a number of very nice uppercuts towards the end of the round. And for me, the Parker work continued to win the round. 5th round, nothing for half a round. Then it was all Takam. So much so that he slipped in throwing a bomb, and these were big bombs, and you think, particularly when he slipped, if he'd landed one of them, you don't know what would have happened. So that's a round for Takam, definitely for me. And the sixth round, again, Takam giving good pressure, and this is the interesting tactics from Takam in this fight, where he's changed from being on the back foot to the front foot, and it was a very interesting tactic, and it must have really surprised Parker, and it really posed a lot of questions. And for me, it was textbook pressure from Takam, possibly his best round. There were a few mid-round combinations from Parker, but Takam kind of continued throughout the round, and for me, he wins the sixth. He wins that sixth round. So halfway through the fight, the way I saw it, 3 rounds apiece. 3 rounds apiece. So seventh round, very quiet, very slow. Parker on the outside, boxing with the jab, and he's winning that round. Then it swings the other side, and for the eighth round, Parker pressurising for at least half of that round. So half of that round, Takam was applying nice pressure, nothing fancy, but he was applying the pressure for at least half of that round, and then suddenly it completely changed. And we saw a sustained Parker onslaught, lots of punches, lots of wild swinging, and both got hurt. But for the last 40 seconds, Parker had nothing left in the tank. He literally had nothing left in the tank, and he was trying to evade shots. Didn't really do that very well. He was being hit, and for the whole reason, the way that Takam started the round, the way he had it for half the round, but the onslaught, it was a very difficult round to score. When I was watching it in real time during that sustained onslaught from Parker, I kind of mentally was giving it to Parker. I was giving it around, but then the way it just completely changed for the last 40 seconds, it questioned, particularly considering what Takam had done for 90 seconds. And this is a round I just don't know how to score. I wasn't sure. I suppose my heart says Parker, my mind says Takam. Very difficult. But anyway, moving to the ninth round, and particularly because of what both guys had done in the previous round, it was quite a quiet round for most part, until Takam landed a bit of a bomb. I think this is going to be forgotten. This is going to be quite overlooked. But Takam landed a fantastic shot, and what happened? Parker wobbled. He genuinely wobbled. He managed to survive, but he was wobbled for at least a second. And I'm giving Takam that round. Now, for the last 3 rounds, we saw Takam switch from the front to the back foot, but in the 10th round, he was on the back foot, and Parker was just quietly boxing, pushing out the jab, the double jab, and winning the round. Similarly, in the 11th round, it was almost the same, but Takam was actually pressurising, but he was still being picked off, and we give that round to Parker again. We go into the 12th and final round, and this was quite an even round, but Takam was doing enough to win the round. He was going for it, but not really going for it. He wasn't. He knew he needed to go for it, but he wasn't. He didn't leave everything. He didn't leave everything in that ring. Trust me, in that last round, he could have really gone for it. But for my money, he wins that last round, and therefore, on the Teekosey official scorecard, I've given 6 rounds to Parker, and I've given 5 rounds to Takam, with 1 questionable round. And as you know, if you've watched my videos, I give a lot of questionable rounds. If I don't think either guy has done enough, or I think it's very even, I am more than happy to give an even round. I will not give it to someone just because they landed 1 extra jab or whatever. There needs to be notable difference for someone to win a round. There needs to be something. There needs to be good quality shots. There needs to be more dominance. There needs to be something, and that's why that is a questionable round, a draw round. And personally, I give it 6-5 Parker. There you go, giving it 6-5 Parker. Now, we did a poll. We did a poll on the fight on the preview video, and the results of that were that the poll says Parker predicted to win 87%. So 80% of you guys said that Parker was going to win. What did I say in the preview video? I said it was going to be a great fight, and I said potentially it was going to be one of the best fights that we had to look forward to in this kind of time period. Now, it was a good fight. I think a lot of people are going to say it wasn't a great fight. I think it was a good fight. I think it was a decent scrap. Both guys kind of went for it. I said that if Parker could get a KO, he's going to be a legit top guy. He didn't get the KO. But I think he's definitely definitely earned himself a few stars on this fight. Definitely. I said basically the key for this fight for Parker was that he needed to keep the distance, and if he stays at a range, he will win most of the rounds. But the problem was he was too tired. He was too tired to implement his own game plan of staying at range, particularly in the middle rounds. He struggled to keep that range, and he allowed Takam in far too close. And I actually said Takam will wear him down if allowed. Bang on the money, and that's exactly what happened. Parker allowed him in too close, and he allowed him to wear him down. I also said hesitantly that Joseph Parker would probably get a late stoppage. I was wrong. It never looks likely whatsoever that Parker would get a stoppage. If anything, it looked like Takam was capable of getting a stoppage himself when Parker was wobbled, tired, or basically keeping his chin out there. Right. So what did we learn? What did we learn from this fight? What did we learn from this fight about Joseph Parker? Joseph Parker's the guy that's moving forward from this fight. Carlos Takam, he's a durable guy. He's going to be there. He's going to be there to test some other guys. I would not be surprised if Carlos Takam gets some of the other guys that are around the top 10 space, as he's going to be a very tough nut to crack. And I think a lot of guys will see that as a fantastic test, and he might be used as a stepping stone for other guys. But what did we learn? We learned that Joseph Parker's defense is atrocious. He doesn't even try. Even when he's being hit, he doesn't change up. He does not change his defensive tactics, and that's a big problem. That's the thing that I take from this fight more than anything. His defense is terrible. Anthony Joshua, I think if Anthony Joshua was able to land like Takam was landing, I think Anthony Joshua would stop Parker. He would stop him. People could disagree, but I think that is the case. His chin is too out there, and he's getting hit too much from Takam, and a better, more heavy-handed guy would probably be enough to stop him. He could not keep Takam at distance enough. He did it every now and again when he was winning rounds, but in the rounds that Takam was winning, Takam was far too close. He was far too close. And why was that the case? The reason was that because Parker was knackered. He was completely exhausted. He was too tired. His tank was gone, and that is the final negative. He was exhausted. He got tired far too quickly, and his game plan pretty much went out the window. So there's some negatives that we've learned from this fight. What are the positives that we've learned? We've learned that Parker's got a relatively okay chin. He got chin checked a few times. Yeah, Takam's not the most concussive punchers, but he's got a great KO record. He's KO'd a number of guys, and he landed some good bombs. He even wobbled Parker, so that's something to take from this. We also got to see Parker go 12 rounds. Incredibly important for the young guy to get those rounds in against great opponent. And we've also seen him in with a decent top 20 guy, someone who's durable, someone who's tricky, someone who's going to pose questions. You got to think that the variation that Takam showed in his offense and defense, the way he switched it up, is something that a lot of guys out there just wouldn't be capable. Very one-dimensional, particularly in heavyweight division. A lot of guys are very one-dimensional. So he would have learnt a lot of this. So all in all, I really believe this was a really interesting fight. Do I want to see Joseph Parker in there with Anthony Joshua anytime soon? The answer is definitely not. I think it's a dangerous fight for Joseph Parker to take. I think if I was to an early prediction now, I'd say that Anthony Joshua wins by stoppage, probably in the first half of the fight, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I like Joseph Parker. If you've watched the preview video, you'll know that I think that Joseph Parker is a very exciting talent. He's got a very interesting style. I really do like his style. I think he's got a fantastic jab. He's got so many things going for him, but his defense is terrible. Now, we spoke about the defense of Anthony Joshua, the fact that he has really bad movement, both head and feet, very, very static, and he's open to take bombs, really. And Joseph Parker is exactly the same. Whilst he does have possibly better foot movement, he gets around the ring better than Anthony Joshua. I think that the Parker's defense is terrible. I think probably Joshua's, the fact that we haven't really seen it yet. We haven't really seen it, but I think Joshua's defense is slightly better. But I highlighted that as a massive problem with Anthony Joshua too. So both of these young guys, they've both got problems, but the difference is that Anthony Joshua's already got a strap, and people are raving about him because of the crazy stoppages. But we'll have to see what happens with Anthony Joshua in the next fight against Dominic Breazeale. But for Joseph Parker, I think that the next fight, I would put him in with another tough top 20 guy, another durable opponent, someone who's capable of taking him the rounds. I think it would be definitely productive for him to be fighting someone, not necessarily a top guy and not a bum, but someone who's going to give him more rounds, going to pose more questions. I'm not quite sure who that might be at the time, and I'm just recording this video, but I would say another decent opponent. He's a young guy. He's got plenty of time. So, as I say, great fight. Decent fight, maybe. Good one to watch. We've learned quite a bit about Joseph Parker. And I'm going to put a little poll at the top, as I usually do, to see what you think, whether you think Parker won, whether you think it was a draw, or whether you thought that Takam won. I'm seeing a lot of people saying they think Takam won. And I can see how that is the case. It's a bit like the other week you had the Pulev-Chisora fight. Yeah, Pulev won, but a lot of people said that Pulev won by a landslide. I didn't see it that way. I did not see it that way. I saw Pulev winning it, but not by a landslide. And I can see it's a similar sort of thing here, where I think some of the good work that Takam did in this fight, people are going to overlook. They're going to completely overlook, and they're going to be somewhat biased towards Joseph Parker. So, how did you see the fight? Get on the poll and leave your comments below. We'll see you in the next round, which is probably going to be the David Haye, Shannon Briggs, all that good stuff that's coming up. And then in the week to come, we're going to be talking about Jarrell Miller and some of these other young bucks that are coming up. We'll be discussing those fights. And then as time pushes forward, I'm sure we'll be talking more about Anthony Joshua, Dominic Breazeale, and Tyson Fury versus Vladimir Klitschko. So I'm Teekosey, and this has been another round of With Just 15 Defeats.